Ghosts in Us contains serious and sometimes disturbing events and is not suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
It had the crying boy painting.
Her imaginary friend as a kid was a demon.
I looked that thing in its eyes and it changed me forever.
I absolutely believe it was like a demonic presence.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Ghosts in Us podcast. I told you we were doing back-to-back recordings in the last one, so I'm wearing the same white hoodie, and this is the second one I'm not wearing black, and I don't know how I feel about it. Should I have changed? Maybe, but no, I'm too damn lazy.
I mean, you look fine in white. It's fine. Thanks. So this episode, I did some research. I did some research on a paranormal experience a family had here in Wisconsin. I'm not going to say who the family is until the end.
Are you concealing their identity for personal reasons? Was it your family? Dun, dun, dun.
No.
Oh, watch it actually is.
I want to tell you a story of an experience a family had damn near 50 years ago, almost 50 years ago, in a small town called Horicon. I think that's how you say it.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Wait. If you don't know of this paranormal happening, good. If you do, act like you don't and be enthralled with my attempt of such a crazy haunting.
All right.
So take it out of your brain, throw it in the trash. Thank you. You missed the trash can.
What else is new?
So let me give you a little background on the family first. Alan, who is the father, worked as a shift supervisor in a manufacturing plant, while Debbie, the mother, was a housewife and mother to two kids. One named Danny and the other one named Marianne. These weren't their real names. The parents requested that they would use different names just to keep their children from getting, I don't know, all the attention. But Debbie was also pregnant at the time. They would go to church often and lived a very normal life until moving into what they believed was their dream house in April of 1986, and that's where shit went south. Within weeks of moving into their new home, the family, who was pretty healthy and rarely ever sick, fell ill. Either one or multiple members of the family would be in the doctor's office 2 to 3 times a week. Marion got hit harder than any other family member. She was hospitalized twice, once for chickenpox and another for a severe ear infection, which I don't know. I think it's kind of shitty. At first, they thought maybe all the sickness was due to the building materials, like asbestos or mold. But an inspector came in and everything was negative. The house was safe. There was absolutely nothing wrong that could cause them to get so ill. In fall of 86, Debbie was diagnosed with placenta previa, which means the placenta covers the cervix, and this could cause a real high-risk pregnancy, and was told by doctors that she could not do any housework. She was pretty much bedridden, and her mother and sister would come over to help, but felt a very strong negative energy in the home, almost as if the air was suffocating the whole family. Her mother would always be in a rush to leave the home, and her sister would get headaches and feel ill whenever they were there to help out. In November, Debbie gave birth to their second daughter, who they named Sarah. Around that time, Alan started to act differently. He became short-tempered and easily irritated. He would often argue with Debbie about the silliest things and even threaten to leave the family and go on a drinking binge. Now, I don't think his attitude change is anything paranormal. I'm a new parent myself, and the sleep deprivation, along with crying and routine changes, can really mess with someone's brain.
Oh, for sure.
And, well, yeah, there's that. But anyways, in early February of 87, Debbie and Alan bought a bunk bed at a secondhand furniture store and kept it in their basement up until May, when they moved it into Danny's room. They got the bed so Marion and Sarah could share a room, and Danny would move into the next room. And this is when things start to pick up in this confusing time of their lives. The first night in his new room, Danny's old clock radio that he inherited from his parents would come to life. It turned on and would flash back and forth between stations. He ran into the living room to tell his parents something was going on, but they didn't believe him and sent him back to bed. The radio would come to life again, and this time Danny could see the dial turn as it flipped between stations. He bolted out of his room to his parents again, and they took his fear and complaints as a little fit and decided to just take the radio. Like, screw you, Danny. You don't get your radio anymore. This didn't solve anything. Danny would hear footsteps in his room and bangs from the basement, which I'm assuming was below his room. Danny would kick and scream when it was time to go to bed in his room and would rarely sleep because of the weird occurrences. One night, a suitcase that sits under his bed shot out and slid right back under. He ran out of his room crying to his parents, and they once again didn't believe him and thought he was making up stories for attention. So Alan ended up just taking the suitcase. I do want to
Screw you, Danny. You don't get anything.
I do want to say, at this time, Danny is around 7 or 8 years old. Marion is around 1 or 2. So, like, they're very young. But let's move a few months ahead into the summer season. It was now Marion and Sarah's turn struggling with sleep. It was, they would start to wake up in the middle of the night from nightmares and would cry the whole night, unable to go back to bed. Marion would tell her parents about a voice she would hear in her room that would shush her, but her parents would also hear her giggling and talking to someone in the middle of the night, assuming she might be talking to her little sister. To help ease the children's minds, Alan would sometimes stay in their room to help them sleep. In Danny's room one night, he heard what he thought was mice or rats. Alan and Debbie searched the entire house and found zero signs of animal activity. The house was sealed and well insulated. Now, jumping a couple months more into November, Debbie would hear the garage door open and close on its own. At this time, she started to have violent nightmares. One of the nightmares, intruders came up from the basement, lined the family up against the wall, and shot all of them in the head. Other nightmares consisted of her children being kidnapped or them drowning in a river. Alan was also starting to have experiences in September. He was painting the walls in the basement, and Debbie called him up for dinner. He laid the brush down on a paint tray and went upstairs. And about a half an hour later, he went back downstairs to continue painting, but ended up finding the brush jammed into the paint can upside down. So the bristles were up and the handle was deep in the paint. He knows he didn't set it down that way. A few minutes later, he also saw a shadow dart from one side of the basement to the other. He figured at this point something strange was going on in the house, but he did not want to accept that it was something paranormal.
And
but like,
parents don't want to.
But what do you think then? Like, what do you think is going on if you don't want to believe it's paranormal? You're seeing this stuff and experiencing this stuff.
Yeah, but that's really typical and common. That people who like experience stuff don't want to admit that that's what it is, or maybe that's a potentiality because they don't want to either change their belief system or kind of, accept that it could be a ghost.
I guess. So there was a morning where Alan found the basement window completely removed and propped up against the wall. Like, it wasn't broken. It was just like pulled out, put to the side.
Yep.
Nothing was taken or moved. And Debbie pointed out that if the window was a point of exit for like an intruder, there would have to be a chair or boxes or something for them to climb up to get out. After that incident, Debbie refused to go in the basement anymore. She felt like that she was being watched down there. The family thought about getting a dog, so they did. They got a dog for protection. But he acted kind of strange too. He would bark at the house when outside, and if he sees something or wants to come in, as if he sees something and wants to come in.
I was like, wait a minute.
No, but when they would let him in, he would scratch at the door and whine constantly, and it was like a never-ending cycle. Other dogs in the neighborhood too would bark at the house, like just at their house.
Well, that's always fun.
Like, that's a sign of something, right?
Yeah.
Alan started to feel uneasy when coming home. He felt like there was something waiting for him in the garage, watching his every move. Closing the garage door felt like he was sealing himself in his own tomb.
Ew.
One night when he was walking from the garage into the house, he felt a sharp tug on his lunch pail as if something was trying to rip it out of his hand. Now, we'll jump a month. Now it's October, and Alan ended up having a serious sinus infection, and it got to a point where his wife brought him to the hospital because he couldn't breathe. Alan's mother came over to watch the kids while they were at the hospital. She also had a horrible feeling about the house, like Debbie's mother. After the kids went to bed, she ended up falling asleep on the couch, and she woke up in the middle of the night to a pair of red glowing eyes looking into the living room from the window. Like, I would probably piss myself.
I already pissed myself.
Oh, okay. November hits now, and Marion tells her mother she is terrified to sleep in her room again. She said she's seen a fire in her room and someone standing behind the door watching her. Multiple nights she would talk about how the windows and door would be on fire and the person behind the door waits until the lights are off and wants to attack her. Debbie would have to sit with her until she falls asleep for a couple nights. And when Debbie would head back to her room and to rest herself in the middle of the night, she would be woken up from the sound of Marion giggling and talking. Then Marion would come into her parents' bedroom and say, "It's coming. It's here." When they would ask Marion who was coming, she would get really upset and ask them why they couldn't hear or see it.
No siree.
It kind of makes me think of the topic that we had about imaginary friends.
Imaginary friends. This reminds me of, excuse me, while not in the same way, it reminds me of the Amityville kind of case that we did.
Yeah.
Like in certain aspects where it's like, oh, you didn't see that? Or specifically The Conjuring, like the original Perrin story. Like, oh, you're not seeing this? You serious?
Yeah. Alan and Debbie thought she was making all of this up, and they didn't tell Danny about any of this, but December rolls around, and one night Danny told his mom that he's seen a 4-foot-tall, hideous old woman with long black hair standing by his door. He said the woman would glow like fire. Debbie told him it was his imagination and he should go back to sleep. A few minutes later, the woman came back and he yelled for his mom, and she ended up staying in his room with him for the rest of the night. Could you imagine just seeing a little 4-foot old lady like hiding behind your door pretty much, staring you down?
That reminds me of Kurt's story. When he lived in one of his old apartments. Dude, I'd be shitting bricks.
So finally, Alan and Debbie started to think that this might be something paranormal. It took them a couple of months.
No way! That's crazy!
Desperately trying to find a way to help with their hauntings, they turned to their pastor, and he came to visit the family home and felt the presence of evil in the home right away. He thought maybe they were victims of the devil. Kind of seems like a typical response from a pastor to me. He blessed the house and gave them religious music tapes to play every night. He also asked them to pray, read Bible passages, and attend church every Sunday. Again, typical response.
Okay, I will give you the church thing as a typical response. I will argue on a typical response being that it's the devil. They don't... A Catholic or Christianity priest will not automatically go straight that it's a devil or something demonic. They will kind of just say, well, as long as you believe in Christ and put your faith in him and God, it's gonna be okay. Like, this is what you can do to like bless your house and things like that.
But do you think it was like that back in the 80s?
Oh, for sure. But they weren't also like, I think if I'm also going to a priest saying, hi, my kid's saying that he's seeing an old lady that's glowing like she's on fire. I think that's where the typical response of it's something evil is going to come in. And you're seeing red eyes and things are moving. You got to take that into consideration.
All right.
But it also depends on how much they're sharing with this priest,
Yeah, right.
which we don't know.
Yeah, from what I've seen or like was looking up, it doesn't really say everything that they shared with him. However, the family claims they've never had a moment of peace after the pastor came and blessed the home. Like, uh,
Interesting.
doors would open and slam shut, strange voices would call to them from empty rooms, and the nightmares or visions would continue, this time more frequent. There's two ways that my brain wants to go with this. Is this religious music, presence of a pastor, and the family pushing their beliefs outward, more causing whatever is there to be angry? Or because the pastor said he felt an evil presence there, is the family kind of manifesting things and like expecting it to happen so it will happen?
Right.
Like, were they kind of like manipulating themselves into having
Right.
this?
That's actually, before we go on, this is actually something I'm genuinely interested in.
Mhm.
If any of our listeners have had an experience of like a mimic or somebody calling you from within your house and you know you're alone, I genuinely want to hear about it. I've had an experience with a mimic. It was myself, Mike, and our friend Amy. We had an experience with a mimic at the Berlin rectory, and I genuinely want to understand more about it. So that may be a topic in the future, but I want our listeners to submit any stories that they might have had with a mimic or any
Before we go
potential
into that. Yeah.
any potential recordings that we can analyze. So I don't know. I'm genuinely interested in it. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm I'm looking at like this with a paranormal brain and a skeptical brain.
For sure. And that's what we need to do when it's a case like this, especially this one.
That you don't know anything about, right?
Right.
Because you threw it in the trash.
But when I went to go pick it up from the trash floor, put it in the trash, it got sucked back in. So I got
Yeah, you better frickin' throw that away.
the
Uh,
trash is kind of down the hall. So
so, anyways, the children were terrified. They would follow their mother around the house because they were too scared to be alone whatsoever. And it was pretty much the same for Debbie. She did not want to be alone whatsoever in any
no,
part
why
of this
would
building.
you?
Nights were chaotic, and she had such a hard time sleeping with everything happening. The week before Christmas, Danny started sleeping on the couch because he was too scared to sleep in his own room.
How old is he
When
at this point? Is this still around when
7,
he's like 8?
8 or 9
So
now.
how many kids are there? There are 3?
3. Danny, Marion, and Sarah.
Okay, so Danny and Marianne are closer in age?
No.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking is because you're saying that she's giggling.
Okay, so Marion at this point is around 2 or 3.
Okay,
2 to 3, 3 to 4, etc.
able to
So,
talk, able to...
Able to talk,
Okay,
and usually around that age is
Yep.
when children start to see things.
yep.
Yeah. And Sarah's only like 1.
Okay, gotcha,
So
gotcha.
Danny, 8 to 9.
I was confused on
Marion,
how this is going because you're like, let me jump
2 to 3.
ahead a little bit, let me jump around a month, and I'm like, okay, where are we at? Okay,
See, I'm just jumping the months. I'm not going
Gotcha.
backwards, forward, blah,
gotcha,
blah, blah.
gotcha. This is more structured than my Amityville episode. Gotcha.
Gotcha. So, anyways, Danny would sleep in the living room on the couch. And one night at around 3:30 in the morning, the witching hour, of course, he woke up to the old woman standing by the Christmas tree. He worked up the courage to ask her what she wanted, but she didn't respond. Instead, she just stared intensely at him.
F that.
I don't know how, but he got to a point where he just couldn't keep his eyes open much longer and he would fall back to sleep. How would you fall back to sleep? But he would wake up 2 more times that night, and each time the old lady would be by the tree, but she would be bigger. Like each time he woke up, she would grow to be almost as large as the tree.
Okay, I'm so glad you said taller.
Yeah.
Not just like She stayed 4 foot, but she grew this.
There was an old lady who swallowed a tree.
She looks like a big old blueberry from like the Willy Wonka movie. Yeah.
So
I need to make jokes because this case genuinely like creeps me out,
so
and I know
Debbie,
nothing of.
in the morning, Debbie would come into the living room and to like check on Danny and all that, see if he's awake. But she would find Danny frozen in fear and not respond whatsoever. He would just sit there staring with just genuine fear on his face. Alan started to really fear for his family, and he began having visions of coming home to his family being murdered. By Christmas, he had enough. He felt like he was losing control of his life and what was happening in the home. And he challenged whatever was in the house, which I feel like that's a bad thing to do.
Well, to be fair, it is his house.
Yes. He
You kind of need to put that dominancy, even if it's something evil.
cracked the whip and
You kind of have to show your power over it.
yeah. He ended up yelling out, "Whatever's in our house, would you please leave my children alone? If you want to fight, you need to fight me."
Ooh, Conjuring 3, the devil made me do it.
The next night, he had a nightmare that a tornado was coming straight towards his house and he couldn't find his family. Like,
At least that one's more tame compared to
Then
like coming home and
being-
your family's murdered in a dream. And
or people or the family being hoarded or huddled down into the basement and shot.
yeah, murdered.
You know what? That little like nightmare that Debbie had, it made me think of Sinister, I think.
Yes.
Sinister?
That would definitely be something you see on those tapes.
Yeah, when I was
On
reading
those
this, I was
reels.
instantly thinking of that movie, and I'm like, huh, is that movie like inspired a little bit from this? But
I'm sure it takes inspiration from so much.
oh yeah, definitely. There's so much happening in that movie. Great movie. I actually like.
I like the first one.
Yeah, I don't remember anything of the second one.
Yes.
So this is around Christmas time, right? Now let's jump to January 7th. So about like 2 weeks, which is when things truly started to get scary for the family. Alan returned home from work around 2 a.m. after
Hold on.
working.
Sorry. Truly started to get scary for the family?
Yeah.
You're saying everything else, they're just like, nah, that's
Did you-
nothing.
It took them months to finally like think.
It
"Oh,
took
there might
the
be something
parents
haunted."
months. It took the kids 1 hour.
Anyways, jumping to January 7th, sir, of 1988. So, New Year. This is, like I said, when things start to get truly scary.
How can this get worse?
Alan returned home from work around 2 a.m. after working a late shift. As he approached his front door, he heard an eerie howling sound, like the wind just, ooh, and a strong gust of wind coming from his garage. As he was about to open the front door, the wind became much stronger and louder, and it reminded him of that nightmare that he had 2 weeks ago. Then a voice came out of the wind saying, "Come here." Alan was getting pretty frustrated, and he ran to the side of the house, seeing if anyone was there pranking him. And after looking around the house, like he would go around and around for a few minutes, he found that like no one was around, so he went back to the front door. As he was about to attempt to open the front door again, the howling and the wind got stronger and louder even more. And the voice in the wind kept repeating, "Come here, come here, come here." And that right there made me think of our little moment at the school in Jericho in the basement.
Oh,
by
the
bomb.
whistle?
No. Remember the spirit box said, "I'm here. Come here.
Right.
I'm here. Come here."
Right. Right. That was the one that we couldn't make an episode because all my freaking footage got corrupted.
So it made me think of that moment. I was like, wow.
You know what that reminded me?
Bonding.
Okay, so this is just recency bias for me though. You know what what you just described really reminded me of? The
Wow.
EVP we captured in our Pine Lawn Sumner Rehab Center episode that we just have for Dark Realm, our new season,
Oh,
where it
yeah, in the
says he's
hallway.
watching. Get back.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it
Uh,
was right after the music box went off and we went to go look at it. And then also you hear he's watching, get back. And I'm like, that still gives me like chills to hear that. Cause I'm just like, that place was knucking futs, dude.
so the voice of like in the wind saying "come here" was
Yeah.
coming from the direction of his garage, and he looked closer. He looked closer at the garage, and he ended up seeing an orange red flames coming, like orange and red flames coming out of the garage.
Was it like the lady? Like she's like glowing kind of
Well, as well as two green, shimmering eyes with blood red pupils
F
staring right
that,
at him.
dude.
Uh, so terrified, he ran inside of the house, dropped his lunch pail, locked the door, and he stood there for a few seconds and then said, "Oh my God, my garage is on fire because of the red
Oh,
and
good.
orange
That's what he came to the
flames."
conclusion of.
Um, he ran back outside, but the flames were gone. There was no evidence whatsoever of a fire even being in the garage. The howling wind also was gone, and he quickly ran back inside and went to grab his pail that he threw on the ground, right? Um, but it flew across the floor from the front door, which is leads into their living room, across to the kitchen. Uh, this scared Alan so much. He ended up running to his bedroom and he jumped right into bed next to Debbie and he asked her if she heard the howling wind. She did not, but he could hear it again from their bedroom. And he was just so scared that they kept the lights on for the rest of the night. And Debbie has never seen her husband this afraid.
I want to bring up one more thing. This reference, the howling wind thing.
Hmm.
I want to see if you remember this the same way I do. When we again, this is when we were at Pine Lawn filming.
You talking about the dogs?
Not the dogs. I mean, yeah, the dogs, but when we were outside, there's a section in the episode which by the time this comes out won't be out. This podcast episode will come out the day we premiere. So double dose of us, baby. But in that episode, spoiler, there's a section where I had to cut between the two static cams that we had by the nurses station
Mm-hmm. Mm.
while we were outside investigating that the dogs like attacking somebody.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no wind, but you can hear wind whistling through. And I'm not saying that's paranormal, but it did like spark that memory in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I
I remember
remember that.
hearing
Yeah.
the car sirens. I remember like there was like a police siren that was going off and kind of in the distance. And you can hear that on that camera, but you can't hear that on my phone when I was recording us. That's weird. But I remember hearing it in person. So I don't know what that's about.
Yeah.
But like there's a wind and it just whistles on through and it's loud. It's
It almost
like it
sounds like a
sounds like
train.
it sounds like the Rankin and Bass like cartoon wind. That's the only thing I can think of. And it's loud and it's whistly and that it's like completely unrelated, but that's just what it reminded me of.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't windy that day.
No, it was actually pretty.
It was just a little chilly.
I mean, it was winter.
That's just that's what made me think of. Sorry, I need to go on that little tangent.
No, that's fine. Alan started to believe whatever was there was focusing on him, which I mean, he asked for it, right? He
So
told
did.
he told the entity to fight him and leave his family alone. I don't know what he was expecting. But Alan struggled to sleep every night from this point. He and Debbie would keep all the lights on in the house and lock all the doors and windows. If they would forget to lock the basement door or the garage doors, they would rattle all night as if someone was just like trying to open it. Uh, I I'd be out of the house already. I would be done.
Question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, it's on our TikTok page, way in the early days of our TikTok page.
Mm-hmm.
When you went by your brother,
Yes, the door rattling.
you seem super confident.
Yeah, well, I don't live like that's not my home.
Yeah. But you weren't scared at all, just like witnessing that?
No,
Jeez.
because we all talked about it being my mom or like this old lady that died in that apartment.
That's fair.
However, my brother and Amber do constantly see a shadow figure walking around in their hallway and in the bathroom
That's actually
constantly.
so that's actually something that's really interesting. I know we're going off on a tangent, and I'm very sorry about that. 19 pages worth of notes, and I've had 3 tangents already. My mother, my dear mother Lisa,
We love Lisa.
she constantly sees a shadow figure in my parents' house.
What did you
Constantly.
bring home?
I don't know. I don't even live there anymore. Why would if it were attached to me, why would it stay there?
Because everyone loves Lisa.
But here's the thing. I was talking with my girlfriend Megan, and I was like telling her about some of the stuff that my mom was going like would tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And she would see someone like walk. Like one day, Taylor, shit you not. This is exactly how she described it. So since I'm not living there, she has my old bedroom kind of set up as like if I were to go there, I could just stay there. It's still like my bedroom. But
Yeah.
like she'll lay in the bed when she wants to like get away from like my dad or something. Like she wants to be well, like when she wants to have her alone time, like her
Yeah.
like me time, she'll like sometimes she'll lay in the bed and watch the TV that's in there, or sometimes she'll go into what I call her woman cave, which is like our spare bedroom that she like turn into a little like nice little spot that she likes to sit in sometimes, or she'll watch TV in there. Well, she said one day she's laying in my old bed and she sees a shadow person walk in front of my door. It's like it looked at her, walked back, crouched like this, and tried to sneak through.
Lisa, I'm so sorry that your son brought something home to just live in his old room.
Here's the thing. If I brought something home, it wasn't from me because she has an infinity mirror in her bathroom and she didn't realize it.
Your poor
Her
mother.
medicine cabinet faces the mirror that is by her bathtub. So like, here's the bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
There's the wall here. There's a mirror here and there's a mirror here. And the mirror here faces the mirror of the medicine cabinet. So if it's to believe that it creates a portal, maybe I brought something home, but I definitely took that with me, and whatever came with me invited a couple of friends and it stayed there.
You better get your mom some sage.
Well, Megan has offered to try and cleanse it, so we're working out that.
All right. Can I pick back up on
Yes,
what's
sorry.
going on? You're fine. So January 7th is when all of that stuff with the garage and the howling wind. January 9th, Alan's 16-year-old brother. By the way, Alan is like 32.
Sure.
So his 16-year-old brother Jonathan was visiting, and when he was outside of the house, he saw a floating red light in the garage. He and Alan ran into the garage, but the light vanished. And that night, Alan decided to sleep on the floor in Marion and Sarah's room. He did this to help the girls sleep because they were terrified, but I mean, it also was to comfort himself. While lying on the floor, he heard the hollowing sound again, and fog started to rise from the floor surrounding Alan. It rose and reached up to the ceiling, and the fog took a human-like shape with red and green eyes. So, green eyes, red pupils.
Yep.
It raised its arm, pointed right at Alan, and said, "You're dead." And it disappeared in a burst of light. Alan bolted out of his daughter's room, and Debbie seen her husband run out of the room, pale with blue lips. Uh, she at first
That
thought
blood
he was.
drained.
At first, she thought he was having a heart attack.
Yeah, that
Uh,
blood drained from his face.
so when she approached him to see if he was all right, all he could do was cry and repeatedly say, "Leave me alone. Just leave me alone." Um,
The bro brought it on himself.
right at that moment, Debbie called the pastor and asked him to come over right away. And man, he must have just lived like 2 blocks away, because just a few minutes later, he was already at their house. And he saw how shaken up Alan was. He urged the family to leave the house and find somewhere else to stay. So as they left, Debbie saw a small, intense flame at the top of the garage door, but it disappeared quickly right in front of her eyes. Um, they they ended up coming back the next night after the pastor blessed the home. He led the family in prayer and told them to once again play the religious music all night. And they ended up having no more experiences that night. However, that was the only
You're shocked
peaceful
by
night.
your own notes. That night?
That night, that was the only peaceful night they
Ugh.
had. Uh, the next night, so January 11th, right? Alan was working late again, and he asked his brother Jonathan to watch over Marion and Sarah until they fell asleep. Danny can take care of himself. You know,
Sure. He's 7.
Debbie can. He's like eight or 9 in this situation.
Kid, you're on your own. Get a job.
Debbie is also at home, but I'm guessing Alan just wanted a man in the house to protect his family. A 16-year-old man.
Oh my goodness.
So around 8 p.m., while Jonathan was laying on the floor in the girls' room, just waiting for them to fall asleep, he heard Sarah say, "Hi there." Sarah is like 1 or 2, which they do talk at this time, just very, very minimum. He sat up and turned towards her and saw the figure Alan seen 2 nights ago. It moved towards him and the girls and said, "Now you're involved," and melted into the floor. So
What the hell?
Jonathan was a skeptic of the paranormal until that.
Off behind you.
Singer.
Oh. I was like, whoa. It scared me for a second. We were in a very intense.
So Jonathan screamed and yelled for Debbie to come into the bedroom, but she was too afraid to even open the door. So she's yelling on she's yelling on the other side of the door. "What's happening?"
That would okay. Look, say we were in this position on an investigation, I would be shitting bricks, and you would also be shitting bricks, but you'd be the one on the opposite side of the door going, "What?"
I'm Debbie in this situation. So she's yelling through the door, "What's happening?" And he yells right back at her, saying he could see it. And Marion, just strolls up to the door, opens it, and runs out. And Jonathan is right behind her. Marion said she could see it too and was terrified. And Debbie's like, "Where's Sarah?" Jonathan's like, "In the room yet?" And she's like, "Go get her. We're out of here. We're done with this. They can't take it anymore." Like, let's just leave this little baby in there with this old 4-foot tall evil woman.
It ain't no 4-foot woman anymore, baby.
So Jonathan goes in, grabs Sarah, and as they were pulling out of the driveway, Danny yelled to his mom, "Mom, it's looking at us through the window." And Debbie just took his word for it. She didn't even want to look to confirm. She bolted, backed out of that driveway and bolted to Alan's work. And when they got there, she told him what had happened and how she refuses to ever step foot in the house again. She is done.
Yeah,
so
as you should be.
Later that night, Alan drove past the house and saw that every single light was on, though only Danny's light and the living room light was left on when they all bolted out of the house. The family ended up spending the night with Alan's mother, and the next morning, Alan went back to the house to grab some of their belongings and some essentials. Uh, Only Danny's light was on. Every other light was turned off, and he checked the switches and such, see if the bulbs burnt out or if powers got shut off. No, everything was just fine. Nothing was wrong.
I would have said F everything. I'm not grabbing Jack. We're going to start new, leave everything, including the beds.
Uh,
Someone
so
else can deal with it.
a few days later, Alan went back again to grab the rest of their belongings, and the family moved in with some relatives. Their pastor and another pastor conducted a house cleaning ritual that consisted of prayers and scripture readings, and news got around about the haunting, and police ended up having to barricade the street briefly
Yep.
because of how many people would drive or walk by the house to see if it looked haunted. Because there were rumors that the walls would drip with blood and the basement had a portal to hell. Um, the most haunted places most haunted place in the world type of rumors. Because that's always what's roped in with all that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So on January 21st, the Horicon police chief Glauman contacted Alan. I didn't write down his first name, so you just get his last name. Um, he and
Sounds
his
good.
family were still traumatized, and they were unwilling to discuss the events because they didn't want to seem crazy. But Glauman did end up convincing the family to come down to the station and talk about their experiences and told them it was a safe space. He felt that they were very sincere and were emotionally drained from the entire thing. And he promised them confidentiality and to protect them from bystanders and news people, the press. But he did convince them to meet with James Nelson, a Milwaukee Sentinel journalist, just to dispel the rumors that were floating around. And okay, so that was the 21st January. The 25th of January, Glauman, two officers, and the pastor visited the house. And while they were there, the phone rang a few times and they would answer it, but the line was dead. They ended up disabling the receiver, but the phone would ring again. And they would answer it again, same thing. It was dead. They ended up spending about 3 hours searching the house for recorders, projectors, or any other evidence that might prove that the family was a victim of a horrible prank. But nothing was found. Glauman even had an electrical engineer come in and check out the place. Nothing was wrong. A few weeks later, February 13th, the family had the bunk beds that they got from the secondhand store burned and thrown into a private landfill. Zach Baggins can't get that one. That one is gone. So they put the house up for sale, ended up moving to Beaver Dam. And since then, they experienced absolutely nothing. The family finally had peace in their lives with a dash of trauma that would stick with them forever. Reverend DeBratz, their pastor, I avoided the name for so long because we all know how bad I am. But here you go. He wondered if the house was cursed or if the family was cursed. He and the family had many theories as to what started the hauntings. The bunk beds were one theory. DeBratz thought maybe it was used for seances or Ouija sessions. Another theory was someone introduced occult forces to the home and put a spell on it. The family themselves thought maybe someone had a grudge against them and used black magic to torture them, but it will forever be unknown. What I am confused about is these nightmares, the illness, and all that stuff started before they got the bunk beds.
Yep. But that is the most popular theory in this case.
Oh, you don't know about this case? Shut up. So
Can I know about it now? Can I just say
Yeah.
I know about it now?
Yeah,
We're
so-
at the end.
this was the experiences of the Tallman family.
Yes.
The house is still around, and the family that moved in after them experienced absolutely nothing. This whole paranormal experience was actually shown on Unsolved Mysteries, October 26, 1988. So about 9 or 10 months after they left the house, the new owners allowed the TV crew to film reenactments in the home. And Chief Glauman believed that the Tallmans and their experiences were genuine up until this point because he thought, okay, so now it's on a TV show. Is it really true or are they doing this for money? However, James Nelson, that journalist that spoke to them about the rumors, stated that they actually lost $3,000 when they allowed their mortgage holder to assume the house's title. And the Tallmans also turned down $5,000 from the National Enquirer because they
Yep.
didn't want to make money off of their children's misfortunes.
Yep.
They were okay with their 9-month-long nightmare to be retold as long as they were never shown and the names of their children were changed. So like if they did interviews, it was silhouettes.
Yep. Yep.
So there was a book that came out with greater details released by Michael Norman and Beth Scott called Haunted America. And I actually did find some comments about the whole thing from people who lived in the neighborhood at the time or people who would babysit with the family or family friends. And they mostly agreed that the house had a weird feeling with it when the Tallmans moved in. But there was like random people who would pitch in and say it's all a crock of shit.
Oh,
But
for sure.
these neighbors, babysitters, friends of the family would defend the whole thing. And there even was some conversation with the son, the actual son, like his real name was actually involved. I'm not going to say it because they wanted to protect him.
Yeah, they want it anonymous for let's respect them.
So he like pitched in and he's like, you did not experience the things that I did. You need to stop bashing me and my family. And like the neighbors, friends, babysitters, whatever, would back him up and like say like these strangers need to understand that they don't know what went down.
Well, to be fair, I'm only coming at this because now I know about this case.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to know about this case. In retrospect, coming at this from the skeptical side of the story, I'm not denying that these people didn't experience this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to put anybody in that position on this team. I don't want to put myself in that position because, I mean, I wasn't there. I didn't experience it. But the Amityville house, the dad said that the movie is scary, but it's nothing like it was the real thing. And we all collectively agree the Amityville house.
However, with that kind of experience and all that stuff, they were completely fine with getting their name out there, selling that story and everything.
Getting some money off of it. I'm not.
Yeah,
That's where my skepticism ends, is because this family didn't take the money. They want to keep their name anonymous. They don't want the fame.
I actually found another like comment on this whole thing. Someone mentioned that they currently, well, like 8 years ago, the comment was 8 years ago, work with Alan, and their boss told everyone that was working in the building they are not allowed to discuss anything of Alan's past with him per his request because it's just going to reopen up this wound, bring more trauma, and
that's a good boss.
He spent so many years, the whole family spent so many years trying to get over the traumatic events that they experienced.
Yeah, that's a good boss to do that, especially in like
in Beaver Dam.
Got to be what, the 90s now? 90s, early 2000s, maybe.
The comment was 8 years ago that they said they currently work with Alan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So he's like towards his end of like retirement.
He's close to retirement, or if not retired now.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, like that's a good boss to.
That's a good boss. You don't see that very often.
Don't bring up the trauma.
To that guy.
But yeah, that's the Tallman. That's the Tallman hauntings. Do not mistake it for the Lincoln Tallman house.
No, that's completely different.
But what's so fun is this house and like situation and all that is only like an hour and a half away from my house, from where I live.
Can I'm gonna spill some tea with you.
Uh-huh.
For a really long time, since we started,
Uh-huh.
I was looking at local cases. Like, I'm not talking like this podcast. I'm talking when we first started looking for spots to investigate all the way back in 2021.
Were you trying to find this place to investigate? Because I
I was
also
trying
was.
to find the owners of this house to contact them to see if anything was happening because I knew about this case for so many years. And I'm going to tell you something. You can't find shit.
No.
But you know
You
what you
cannot.
can find? What is believed to be the house on Google Maps, baby.
Yeah.
The address, I believe, is changed now.
I know it's on South Larrabee Street. That's all I know.
That is a one street road. That is a intersecting street between two different roads. So you only have so much to deal with.
Uh-huh.
I scoured that one up and down. There is only one house in today's Google Maps that looks somewhat similar to it. They definitely changed the exterior.
Well, probably.
You kind of
like,
have to.
when you're getting all this publicity and people just coming to look at the house, especially
You
when
have
it
to
was like,
change it
especially when it was like shown on Unsolved Mysteries. Like,
for sure.
I mean, that was back in the 80s. However,
If anybody who had, you know what? No, I don't even want to. I don't even attempt that.
no. We don't get to hear what Blaine's question was. All right.
Well, I don't want to be disrespectful.
It's almost as if like, yeah, this caused a lot of trauma. However, is some of these things that happened manipulated by media? Like,
They're okay. Yes,
not saying that their experiences, like, but you know what I mean, like Unsolved Mysteries, reenactments, did they
yes.
overdo it? And some of the like tall tale facts and real facts get a little
Right.
intertwined. And
But if it weren't for their influence, would we know about this story as much?
no.
Go listen to our media
Boom.
influencing paranormal episode last week.
All right, so that's all I have. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope some of you didn't know anything about this and this was a fun thing to listen to and make you, pee your pants a little bit at the thought of what if this would happen to you one day in life. Yeah, so
Yeah. I wanted to talk about this specific case for a while, actually, and I didn't know how to do it tastefully and to do it justice. But Taylor,
did I do it tastefully?
you did a great job.
Yay.
Timeline was coherent. Names weren't butchered because they were all hidden, except for the priest and the police officer. But
I didn't butcher it, and I kept the priest's name to the end.
Yeah, and you only said it, I think, one time.
Yeah.
So great job. No, all around great job, Taylor. That was really good research. That was, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about this case for a while on the show, and I'm glad that you brought it now rather than later.
To anyone who is listening, if you have any experiences that you want to share with us, either being on the podcast or just writing a story to us, you can contact us through our email at ghostinus@gmail.com, or on any of our social medias. And
how can they follow us on social media? What's our handle, Taylor?
Ghosts and Us.
That's right. You can follow us everywhere.
Or you could also contact us and let us know, like, is there any stories you want us to butcher?
Actually,
to talk about.
Funny you say that. So Susan, bless her,
one of our top fans,
one of our best listeners, like commenters, that isn't within our like close circle of friends like Jesse and Michael, who like listen and watch our stuff regularly. She comments on everything, and bless her, thank you so much. Susan wants us to tackle the topic of doppelgangers.
She also said in the past that she wanted us to tackle the topic of cursed objects, which we somewhat did, but I think she wanted us to
talked
talk
haunted
about
objects. That was a whole episode.
Yeah, I think she wanted us to get a little more into detail, but
maybe. Susan, comment down below on the YouTube version of this. Let us know. Or put it in
Spotify
our
has
Facebook comments. Huh?
Spotify has comments.
Yeah, but she listens to us on YouTube.
All right. Well, hi, Susan. You're really getting a shout out in these 2 episodes.
Back to back, baby.
episodes.
Let's go. Also, big shout out to Jessie. She comments that she listens to a lot all the time. And I know she does, but yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
And
Thank
my
you,
mom.
guys. And Lisa. Oh my God. We love all these ladies. Thank you, ladies.
We love everybody who listens to our stuff. So thank you. It genuinely does mean a lot.
But yeah, please send to us stories, whatever, ask to be on the show, ask to be anonymous, even comment different topics. Like I know doppelgangers, black-eyed children, different stories of graveyards and cemeteries, stuff like that.
That would be really interesting to talk about is the cemeteries.
I have that set up. I just don't know how I feel about it. Like we have these on our roster.
You have a lot of research done on that, don't you?
Yes. I'm not sure how I feel about it though. So, like it might be an episode in the future. We got a few things on our roster. We just want people to help encourage us to do the research, put it together.
You know what? So I want to say next week is going to be an interview episode. We're not going to be covering a topic per se. We are going to be having Joshua Amon from Amon Paranormal Research. He's going to be our guest for next week's episode. And we're going to talk about how he uses different science methods and techniques into how he does his paranormal research. And I'm actually genuinely really looking forward to that one because he seems super genuine. And he seems really freaking smart, and I kind of want to pick his brain. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, if you have a topic or you want to be on the show, you've had an experience, email us, message us, DM us, wherever.
Take this information in. Like for the 3rd or 4th time.
Submit it. Yeah. Because I love the fact that we got that one lady way back when who talked about her imaginary friend being a demon.
What was her name?
Ghost. She's on TikTok. I think it's Ghost Girl. I don't know if she's still on
random.
TikTok. Yeah. She just saw our TikTok and commented and I was like, you gotta DM me right now. Like I want to hear more about it. And then she let us share it. I want more of that. So if you see this, if you hear this, send it our way. I want to hear about it.
If you have friends, family, random online people that you know of that have these experiences, beg them.
This is
beg them to share it.
This is a safe space for you to share. Taylor, you haven't done this in a couple weeks.
Okay.
You said you wanted to start doing this season, and you haven't done it in a couple of weeks. What's a question you want our audience to answer?
Oh my gosh, I forgot that
I forgot to do that for our last recording because we were really deep diving kind of into how with media, and we were just like, I talked way too damn much. Let's start it back up. Start it back up.
Well, the question I have in my head goes along with the last episode.
Well, it can kind of tie into this one.
All right. Well, do you believe in vampires and werewolves?
Okay, that does not tie into this.
All right.
I think you also asked that in the episode.
Oh, I did.
You might have. Do you have a question? Well, I think the last question you did was like, what's your favorite piece of gear that you see people investigate with? Let's test this out.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, shut up.
Do you have a favorite? No, like, do you have a favorite paranormal, like, scary movie? Because I'm interested.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's a good one.
Or do you have this
Scrap it.
This topic was on unsolved mysteries. Do you have a favorite show you like to watch that does reenactments?
Or do you have a favorite Unsolved Mysteries episode?
Do you have a favorite Unsolved Mysteries episode? There you go. That's the
We
one.
finally
That's
settled
the
on the
ticket. Came from Taylor's mouth. More genuine.
All right. Again, for like the 5th time, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked the episode. I hope you liked the story. And come back for the next episode, please. And thank
Amen.
you.
Paranormal Research guests next week. And we will see you next time.
Bye.